I'm in Hayling Island today, and I've got to tell you, I'm really excited because I'm going bass fishing. It's my favourite type of fishing, and today we're going to be using live sand eels and lures. There's no better way to do it on real light gear. I'm out here fishing with a guy called Pete Kilshaw. Never fished with him before. This is his boat, Sportsman's Night. But word has it, and it comes on great authority from a couple of other skipper friends of mine down here, that this guy really knows his stuff. So let's go and catch some fish. I can't wait. Well, I've just turned up. We're about half an hour early, waiting for the rest of the lads, and Pete's already got me working. Just caught a couple of small spout on some feathers here, which is another really good bass bait, another really good live bait. These jetties around here, they're littered with smelt and small sprats, which, I mean, we've got a tank full of live sand eels here, and these little extra baits just, you know, could pull out the biggie. And right on cue, there you have it, a little smelt. Now these little babies are absolutely brilliant for bass. That really gives off a good glimmer when the sun catches it.
The spot we'll be heading for today is an area called the Overfalls, a series of offshore banks lying east of the Isle of Wight, about 12 nautical miles south of Chichester Harbour. Strong tidal flows sweep over these banks, creating a dynamic habitat which attracts a variety of fish species, including what we're after, the bass. It's a place to which Pete, our skipper, and his boat, the Sportsman's Night, are frequent visitors.
So tell me about your boat. How long have you had her?
25 years.
Wow.
She's a wooden boat, mahogany, with aluminium wheelhouse.
Yes, it's beautiful.
And she drifts very well on the tide. She presents herself across the tide, whereas a lot of the lighter boats will skim across the top and lift the gear off the bottom. This one sits well in the water, and it's ideal for bass fishing. Obviously not a fast boat, but it's economical.
You don't need it, do you?
The fuel bill is nothing like the fast catch. Yeah, you get there quick and get back quick, but you pay the price for it.
That's it. I mean, all you've got to do is just work your trips around the tides, haven't you?
Precisely.
Really?
Yeah, that's the most important thing on this boat. You've got to plan your day so that you're not slogging against the tide all day.
I must admit, there is something special about fishing on a wooden boat. I mean, I grew up in the Thames estuary, fishing on old clinker belt boats, you know, and 6-7 knots max.
Yeah, that's,
you know, that's just reminds me of my childhood, and so does this, come to think of it. Catching small fish down by the jetty.
Yeah, I think there's not many wooden laid deck.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
There.
Oh,
there we go.
Look.
He's in now.
That's not a smelt.
Oh, that's good bait, that one.
That's a wrasse.
Yeah,
they could pull bass on wrasse before.
They're in a feeding frenzy now.
With the other anglers now safely on board, and having let the local passenger ferry set off to nearby Hayling Island, it was time to get underway ourselves. Although it's bass we're primarily after, there are a wealth of other species out here, including some rather fine blonde rays. And as fishing, even at the best of times, is never an exact science, it's always good to be prepared.
Well, we just stopped off to have a little drift for some mackerel, or we're trying to get some scad actually, and possibly some pouting when we get over the wreck. It's always good to have a bit of fresh bait on board, so some fresh mackerel would be good, but it's pretty slow going at the moment. Well, we pushed on out a bit further, still trying to catch mackerel and scad, and we've come to the Nab Tower. Now this is a real famous sea mark. I mean, anyone that reads the catch reports in the fishing mags, you know, you often see big cod caught south of the Nab Tower, and in the summer it's, you know, big tope, smooth hound caught south of the Nab Tower, and this is the Nab Tower. You can see it's absolutely massive, and of course you get a tidal rip round the back of this thing, And you can see how fast we're moving at the moment. Oh, we've got a wrasse, look. Superb. Well, you quite often get mackerel shoals just hanging around the back edge of this. They're a bit thin on the ground today.
One of the beauties of coming out with a good local skipper is when they bring you to places like this, the Nab Tower. You just can't beat having all that important local knowledge.
These structures were originally built First World War to blockade off the North Sea from German shipping, but they were never used, and after the war Trinity House bought a number of them, one here, one at Shoreham I believe. It was towed out and sunk here as a lighthouse on the Nab Shoal. It used to be manned some years ago, and quite often when we come out fishing we'd drop newspapers and milk off for the lighthouse keeper and post letters, and of course what was important in those days was these football pools, and they're not manned anymore. The structure's in decay really, but it's still an important feature out here for shipping. And sometimes there's got a lot of fish around it, bait fish, mackerel and scad, but not today. That's because you're here.
Well, we're on the legendary Overfalls, which is basically a series of sand and shingle banks. But we're just fast approaching slack water, so we're not really expecting anything at the moment. You really need a good lick of tide running here because, well, that's when the bass are feeding basically. They're ambush predators, so what they're doing is they're sitting just behind the peaks of the sandbanks, waiting for anything, fish, worms, prawns, whatever's down there that's being pushed over the top basically by the tide. So although you still pick the odd fish up, it's nowhere near as good as when the tide starts running. So we just thought we'd have a go here for half an hour, have a cup of tea, maybe stick the anchor down for an hour, and when that tide gets running, that's when we're going to be into the bass. Well, that's the plan anyway.
Now, while I'd heard much about Pete's reputation as a skipper, what I hadn't anticipated was the on-board entertainment.
You've got to sing the bass up. It's all in the music.
Okay, let's wind up. Up we go for another drift. Tide's getting going. It's half a knot now.